we can and hit the like button as it really helps the channel out. Happy trading! Hey traders, in today's video we'll be going over a simple Bollinger Bands and RSI trading strategy. Let's get right into it. So the first step of this strategy is going to be setting up the Bollinger Bands properly. So click on Indicators, search for Bollinger Bands, and then click on this search result. Now we're going to have to make a few changes to the Bollinger Bands so that they work better for this strategy. So let's do that now. So double click on the Bollinger Bands to bring up the settings. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the background, since it's not really needed for this strategy. So simply click on this button and slide the opacity all the way down to 0%. Next, I'm going to go in and change all three of these colors to black. Okay, now let's adjust the input settings for the Bollinger Bands. So the first setting we're going to change is the length. So for those traders who don't know, the Bollinger Bands are made up of 3 lines. The middle line is simply just a moving average, which takes the average of the previous candlesticks and plots them as a line on our chart. So for example, if we left the length at 20, then this line would show the average of the last 20 candles. But for this strategy, we're going to change the length to a setting of 30. The upper and lower lines that you see, which are the upper and lower bands, are controlled by this setting. This word means standard deviation. So by leaving this setting at 2, that means we have a line plotted 2 standard deviations, both above and below the moving average. For this strategy, a setting of 2 for the standard deviation will work just fine. Okay, now we have the Bollinger Band set up properly, so let's set up the RSI as well. So click on Indicators, search for RSI, and then click on the search result labelled Relative Strength Index. You should now see the RSI appear below your chart. So double click anywhere on the RSI to bring up the settings, and let's make a few changes. So the first thing we're going to do is once again remove the background by sliding the opacity all the way down to 0. We're going to leave the upper and lower levels at 70 and 30, which are represented by these light grey lines on the indicator. And then we're going to change the colour of the RSI line to blue. For the input settings of the RSI, the only setting we're going to change is the length. It's currently set to 14, meaning it's taking into account the last 14 candles. But for this strategy,